Welcome to the Sunday morning meditation. It's a time when we really need to not be pressured about what's going on in the world, to just let go and let the light come in through us and through everyone around, that we just release all the emotions and all the willful people that are trying to do things in the world that are just not in balance with the Creator. And as we meditate, we become channels of light that just brings this light to the earth at this time. And we're not part of the problem, we become part of the peace. So that's why we meditate. And that's what we're going to do. It's going to be a call and response chant, and the words are just so beautiful, and just let go and get into the feeling of what we're trying to say to our consciousness. Okay. Golden light in the candle flame. Golden light in the candle flame. Deep in you, I feel the same. Deep in you, I feel the same. Deep in you, I feel the same. Open to the holy, holy stillness. Open to the holy, holy stillness. God is love, loving, beloved. God is love, loving, beloved. Beloved, 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 beloved. Ishkala Mahulila. Ishkala Mahulila. Spirit, spirit of ecstasy.
Good morning, everyone. Last Sunday, I said that I would be doing a follow-up talk, a metaphysical follow-up on the transformation of the disciple Peter. I won't be speaking to that this morning. I will be speaking to a completely different topic because I will be filling in for Santisha at the second service as well. So I'm not going to do two different talks. I'm going to give you the same talk I'm giving to the second service. And the reason why I have to change the talk, I couldn't do the metaphysical talk on the transformation of the disciple Peter, is because when we had both congregations tested a year ago, we discovered that the second service congregation has on average a 40-point lower IQ. So I've had to change the talk. I can't do anything metaphysical there. And that's just the way things are. Recently, in a coffee shop, I saw 3 teenagers who were overwhelmed with laughter. And to such a degree that the manager had to ask them to quiet down or they would have to leave. And I thought to myself, when was the last time I had a hearty laugh like that? And I couldn't recall. You should do that right now. When was the last time you had a hearty, gut-splitting laugh? Raise your hand if you've had one in the last month. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Was this an ordinary kind of situation, or were you really heavily under the influence of marijuana? You don't want to admit that. All right, it's okay. But just having fun is something that seems to diminish. Not seems to, but actually does diminish as we get older. And I suspect that has to do with the responsibilities that come from living an adult life. There's just too many things that we now have to take care of that were quite often taken care of by our parents or someone else. And so the responsibilities of life come in, and we don't have as many opportunities, nor do we seek as many opportunities for fun. Whereas in our early youth, that's just about all we did. But there's something we need to understand. In life, there's hardly ever anything that's taken away that isn't replaced by something better. So I want to share the idea of joy today. Fun and joy are 2 different things. Although many people, equate them as the same. They speak about them in the same way, supposing that they're the same cinematically. But they are not. I looked up fun in Webster's dictionary, and it said, it's a long, drawn-out thing. I'll just give you the skinny on it. That which provides amusement, entertainment, playful, often boisterous action or speech. And from a spiritual perspective, over the years, being involved in looking at life as objectively as I can, I see it that fun is basically derived from the world and the circumstances of the world, whereas joy is derived from another dimension of consciousness. Joy is from a higher level of experience. And it has to do with the emotion of well-being and beauty and bliss. That's where joy actually exists, in those attributes. And they are spiritual attributes, or you could say God-conscious attributes. The masters live quite a bit in the experience of joy. And so we are called to do that, but we are called by the Master of Masters to remain in the world while we do it. So there's a real interesting and subtle awareness that we walk in both worlds, and it's possible to do that, but it takes practice of the presence of God in order to accomplish that. In fact, Master Ruby Nelson had this to say from her book, The Door to Everything. Can we have this next PowerPoint? You can read this on page 21, paragraph 4. At the summit of the highest level of human consciousness, there is a door through which you can slip and be free from all the influences you are under in the sub-creation, that is, the manifest world of appearances. There's a door that you can slip through and be free from all the influences you are under in what she refers to as the sub-creation, which is the manifest world of appearances. And you know that from experience and from knowing people that are not yet on the path, the manifest world of experiences, it tosses us to and fro. You know, we are almost defined by experiences outside of ourselves. When they're going in accordance with our personal desires, we have peace, we're open, there's harmony. But when they're not going in relationship to our personal desires, we are cast down, upset, flummoxed, angry. So what we are involved in our unity journey is a transformation into this higher level of awareness. But again, we don't leave the world to get there. We don't withdraw to an ashram or a monastery or a convent or anything like that. We simply carry out our yoga, our understanding, in the circumstances of the world. And that, I think, takes quite a bit of mindfulness. You have to be mindful that this is what you really want, your inner purpose, to be carried on in all that you're doing in the outer purposes of the world. You have become to that place where you know that your inner purpose is what really brings you happiness and peace. So that's what we're about doing in unity. And I had an experience about 6 or 7 years ago when Norma and I were in New York City. We had gone to a Broadway show. It was at night and it came out. And you know, those Broadway shows break very close together, and there's crowds and crowds of people on the street. And I thought I saw an old friend who was just finishing, I think he was just finishing, this crowd was down the street, a couple of theaters. He was just finishing playing the violin. And I'm the one that got him started playing the violin on the street. His name was Richard, and I knew him when I was a striving writer, actor in the city. He was getting thrown out of his apartment. He couldn't come up with the rent, and he didn't know what to do. And we went back to his place to pack up what he could carry out of there, because the landlord was going to put a lock on his door. And as we were going through his things, I saw a violin in his closet. And I said, well, you can pawn that anyway. You might be able to get enough for it to call the landlord off. He said, oh, no, I could never pawn that. That's my father's violin. We used to play together. I said, can you still play that violin at all? He said, oh yeah, I can manage something on it. I said, okay, let's go. We took his violin, we went out to 79th Street, I remember it exactly, because a lot people going to and fro on 79th Street. There's a big subway entrance, a bus stop, and a cab station. So we set up on 79th Street, and I opened this case, and I had made a sign that said, pianist and violinist need money to continue studies. And at the time, I was 22, he was 23, but he looked 16. It was a real advantage. He was very young looking. And he started to play the violin, and we made more money than we ever saw in our life. That violin case just filled up with so much money. We had to keep stuffing it in our pockets. It was overflowing and being blown away by the wind. You may not see that happening today because he was among the very first street violinists in New York City. And I'm talking, over 40 years ago. So it never dawned on me that he actually might still be doing that for a living. And I was so curious that I looked him up, and I found his name in the phone book, fortunately, and I set up an appointment with him. And I can tell you this about him. He was the most self-centered human being that I ever hung around with, except for myself, because I was in the Guinness Book of World Records as being the most self-centered at that time. But he was really self-centered. So we got together after all these years to have tea or something, and we're in a restaurant. And I was talking and catching up with him, and after about an hour, I realized he had changed radically. He had become someone so considerate and so friendly and caring. He actually was playing his violin for free at nursing homes, and just not the guy he was. And I said to him, "You are so different. What did you do, have a God connection or some kind?" He said, "No. It kind of dawned on me slowly," this is what he said, "that it's not my party. I'm only a guest among all the others." It was an interesting way to put the idea that this transformation that we are talking about in unity is a transformation from the awareness of me and the importance of me to the awareness of the one and the importance of harmony in relationships with everyone that lives. Could that become a priority? I mean, we're from the Western culture where money almost rules. It does rule, really, for the most part. But we're from a culture where that's so important that to surrender even a portion of our self-centered time seems to so many people to be not something they could do. Certainly they're not going to meditate for a half hour every day, or use the holy pause, or serve others while it's taking away valuable time from their endeavors to pile up more money. So this whole idea of the shift from, the consciousness that is all about me to a consciousness that is all about the oneness of being and harmony. To be an emissary of one whose priority is always to bestow peace, always to bestow harmony, always to be there to help. And as I had said, this is a hard calling for us who grew up in the Western culture where the whole idea of success is, it's couched in the consciousness of making more money. No matter how much you have, more is better. And to come away from that and find yourself whose awareness is involved with being so keenly awake in the moment that you can serve God in being a helping hand, taking less for yourself and still bestowing peace, or going that extra mile, or doing the very hard job that's on the job, hoping that somebody else would do it. Do you see, can you begin to grasp the difference? And this is the beauty of it. The beauty of it is when you finally get to that place where you're capable of that self-surrendered consciousness. You prosper automatically. You may not become a multimillionaire, but you do prosper, so you're never really hurting for financial needs. And this is a hard thing to believe. I mean, the out-of-directed mind finds it almost impossible to believe that. If you're living your life in service to the living God, you are giving up your opportunities to manipulate and conquer and win and get more. And that doesn't seem like a reasonable idea to the unenlightened. But it becomes very reasonable to those who put it into practice. Joy derives from that shift in awareness, and here's A Course in Miracles to speak to that. You can read this on the old text, page 66, paragraph 2. To be wholehearted, you must be happy. If fear and love cannot coexist, and if it is impossible to be wholly fearful and remain alive, the only possible whole state is that of love. There is no difference between love and joy. Therefore, the only possible whole state is the wholly joyous. To heal or to make joyous is therefore the same as to integrate and to make one. That is a very interesting line at the bottom. That to heal and make joyous, it means you've arrived at a place where you're living from a different paradigm, is the same as to make one. And to make one is what you do in every situation. Instead of operating from the separation and one's personal self-interest, you're there in the moment, and the moment speaks to you about what would bring harmony, what would bring healing, what would bring peace, what would be a restoration of love. So it's an amazing thing that they talk about, and that is why the Master of Life said, the kingdom of heaven is not coming from outside of you. It's in the midst of you, within you, right now. And heaven is here for those who will brave it and enter into this more refined level of consciousness. The Master of Life and Death set his disciples straight on this. Can we have this next PowerPoint, please? This kind of tells the whole story that every human being is involved in, and so many do not ever get it. You can read this in Luke chapter 22, verses 24 to 27. A dispute also arose among them, his disciples, which of them was to be regarded as the greatest. And he, the Master, said to them, the kings of the Gentiles, that means the outer-directed people of the world, exercise lordship over them, and those in authority over them are called benefactors. But not so with you. Rather let the greatest among you become as the youngest, and the leader as one who serves. For which is greater, one who sits at the table or one who serves? Is it not the one who sits at the table according to the world? But I am among you as one who serves. And that's such a true statement, because he certainly could have opted to use his powers to gain huge financial material success. But instead, he was one who wanted to share a truth that transforms human experience. And so we have what he says to his disciples, I am among you as one who serves. In another place, he said to them, the greatest among you will be the servant of all. If any thought would fly in the face of a Western culture, that one does. The servant of all, immediately we have visions of becoming a doormat and being walked all over. But the fact is, the servant of all that he's talking about, all experience, to become the servant of all experience, is to do exactly what Eckhart Tolle is suggesting, to become one with the moment and allow the moment and you to merge so that you don't see yourself as separate from what is taking place. But whatever circumstances are arising, you recognize you're one with them. And you operate from that perspective and not from the separation, not from personal self-interest, not from selfishness, not from fear. You operate, and this is so beautiful to be able to do this. You operate from the presence of God. Hard pill to swallow, though, especially for the disciples. But let me share this with you. Such instructions to the disciples and to us, because if you understand the scripture, it's all about those that are reading it now. Time and space have to be collapsed for there to be a full understanding that you are being spoken to by the words of the masters and the Bible writers. But those instructions don't preclude having fun. In other words, what he's saying to the disciples about being the servant of all in the moment, being present, it doesn't preclude having fun or personal goals, financial success, or even romantic encounters. It doesn't preclude that. As long as your priority is being available to serve selflessly each moment as it arises before you. If there's a difficult job needing you, do it wholeheartedly. If there's a test to be taken, study for it. Give your attention to acing it. If you increase your financial income, be happy and tithe accordingly to worthwhile causes. And as the Zen master of masters, if you would have life truly, learn to be doing only one thing at a time. That takes you out of your head, where you should be, could be, want to be. Takes you right here, right now. Learn to do only one thing at a time. And that means if you're having sex, don't be going over in your head the Sunday sermon for that morning. It means to be specifically doing what you are doing and doing it wholeheartedly and fully. Okay. When we view life from the perspective of being one with all creation, we are able to feel joy while doing the most difficult job, going the extra mile to help others, taking less than our fair share, bestowing peace regardless of what's taking place. And Edgar Cayce had this to say. Can we have this next PowerPoint? The gift of God to man is an individual soul that may be one with him, and that may know itself to be one with him, and yet individual in itself, with the attributes of the whole, yet not the whole. That is the clearest definition of the karma yogi. In other words, that's what we are. The gift of God to man is an individual soul that may be one with him, and that may know itself to be one with him, and yet individual in itself, with the attributes of the whole, yet not the whole. So that's a clear and specific definition of our position in the world. And here's A Course in Miracles, and I'm going to conclude it with this. You can read this in the old text, page 122. By accepting the at-one-ment for yourself, you are deciding against the belief that you can be alone, thus dispelling the idea of separation and affirming your true identification with the whole kingdom as literally part of you. This identification is as beyond doubt as it is beyond belief. Your wholeness has no limits because it is infinity. Your wholeness has no limits because it is infinity. It has no limits, all right? Because, well, it is infinity. It's okay. This is the whole thing. I still have to fire somebody. And I have to do it with a modicum of peace. What? All right. Okay, today we're going to listen to the bowls and find our way into that space. It's not that hard to enter that space. You just have to know the presence so fully and completely where you are. And here you're sitting in a space of safety and peace. So as you listen to the bowls and the chiming of the bowls, which are calibrated to really impact the centers of your consciousness, you can let yourself just be present. And then when the bowls are completed, I will read a guided meditation. And then with that guided meditation, there will come a mantra that you can use to complete the meditation in silence. All right, so let's tune in. To cultivate joy in the course of your everyday living, often remember to practice patience, praise, gratitude, and love. Or any one of these, depending on the situation. Knowing that joy accompanies an open-hearted awareness toward everyone you meet on your path through life. Patience, praise, gratitude, and love are the goals of your soul. To manifest these qualities in all circumstances unto all those you meet on the path through life is your soul's journey. You might take this mantra to heart. I am alive in the service of the one in all, the all in one. To cultivate joy in the course of your everyday living, often remember to practice patience, praise, gratitude, and love. Or any one of these, depending on the situation. Knowing that joy accompanies an open-hearted awareness toward everyone you meet on your path through life. Patience, praise, gratitude, and love are the goals of your soul. To manifest these qualities in all circumstances unto all those you meet on the path through life. Your mantra could be, I am alive in the service of the one in all, the all in one. To cultivate joy in the course of your everyday living, often remember to practice patience, praise, gratitude, love, or any one of these, depending on the situation. Knowing that joy accompanies an open-hearted awareness toward everyone you meet on your path through life. Patience, praise, gratitude, and love are the goals of your soul. To manifest these qualities in all circumstances unto all those you meet on the path through life. Practice the mantra, I am alive in the service of the one in all, the all in one. I am alive in the service of the one in all, the all in one. As we go forth from this meditation to those places we occupy in time and space, let us go forth with a greater awareness of the presence in every moment, for this opportunity to serve the present. We give thanks. And to this we say, Amen. We will take an offering for unity now. And as we're preparing to do that, if we can get some light on in the sanctuary. Also, like to say to those of you watching online, you can scroll down to the place that says donate, and it'll give you a way to donate to Unity of Boulder. Or you can choose any one of these particular formats to donate to Unity of Boulder. And so let us all now bring to mind that financial gift we'd like to make to continue this rather unique ministry of transformation in the presence. As we bring to mind that financial gift, let's bless it with this offering prayer. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, because I give.
Surely the presence of God is in this place, in every tree, every flower, and child's face. And I know all God's creations deserve this sacred space. Surely the presence of God is in this place. And I know all God's creations deserve this sacred space. Surely the presence of God is in this
Thank you all for showing up in person. I think we're moving in a direction where we should be getting to the end of this pandemic. It may be a little while yet, but I think it's happening, and it's something I think we're all looking forward to. In the meantime, keep your unity principles alive in your life. It is life and life abundant to those that do that. So thank you for showing up in person, and thank you for tuning in online, those of you that are at home eating bagels and tea, or chicken wings and beer. Of course, I jest. But you might want to try coming down. We have a nice little crowd going now, and I think it reaches better if you're here in person. I will be doing the second service as well, so there won't be very much different than what I've already said to you. But if you want to hear it again, show up. All right. Norma wants me to do a discussion following the second service out in Fellowship Hall. I will do that.
And there'll be refreshments.
There'll be refreshments there, but you should understand there'll be people coming in for the second service. Oh no, they won't be coming in for a service. So we can just set up the circle and let it happen. All right, so after the second service, we'll do a discussion on these principles of truth or anything else about unity you'd like to discuss. To all of you, have a beautiful day.